I want to tell you a little personal story. About 30 years ago, I was busily engaged in building up CBN, and my oldest son was a student at the University of Virginia, and I received a letter which said, "Can you come and speak at Sweetbriar College to our Religious Emphasis Week?" Well, Sweetbriar is near Lynchburg, and Lynchburg was near my hometown of Lexington. So I thought that was a nice thing to do, and so I said, okay, I'll do it. And so I told my son, who was up in Charlottesville, that he was going to go with me to Sweetbriar College to meet these girls. And he was kind of, in his little deal up there at UVA, and I don't want to do that to those girls. They're just not really very attractive, and I don't need that. And I said, look, whether you need it or not, you're going, so pack your bags, and we'll pick you up, and you're going to drive with me over to Sweetbriar. So he said, okay. So we got over there, and they had Religious Emphasis Week, and I spoke in their chapel, and then I gave an invitation, and these girls came to the altar, and they were kneeling at the altar to be filled with the Holy Spirit to receive the Lord. And here my son is. He got into it, and he was laying hands on them, and it just was something else. And when it was over, he said, I've never seen such sweet girls. I said, well, it's Sweetbriar. Of course they're sweet. Well, he invited this young lady who had been my hostess for this weekie to come visit us, and she came down to the house, and about 1 in the morning, I was in bed, and they knocked on the door, and here my son and this very lovely girl said, we've just decided to get married. And I said, that is just wonderful news. Well, I want to tell you that, if I could have designed a daughter-in-law that would have been any better than this, I couldn't have succeeded. She has been an unbelievable wife, an unbelievable mother, and a wonderful, wonderful son and daughter-in-law. And so she has written a book about the path of life. And with so many choices in life, how do we know what's the best path? And so she's going to tell us about the very important first step. Here's my daughter-in-law.
Author and Bible teacher Lisa Robertson knows that finding God's path for your life can be overwhelming. At a difficult time in her own life, Lisa co-founded an outreach called Changing Seasons, designed to encourage and support women in their everyday lives. And in her new book, The Path of Life, Lisa will help you discover God's path for your life and show you how to follow it one step at a time.
Well, was you welcome to the 700 Club? My beautiful designer, the one I could have designed, couldn't have done any better. God did it. My daughter-in-law, Lisa, so glad to see you.
I'm delighted to be here, and you're my designer father-in-law, too. I couldn't have designed you any better.
She used to be on the tennis team, and she was pregnant, and she beat me in tennis. I'll never live it down. I was beat by a pregnant woman in a tennis game, but anyhow.
I went easy on you.
You spared me. Okay. Well, you've got well, tell us what's in this book. What have you got?
Well, the book is really important to me because it really begins when I married Tim. And when we got married, one of your friends, the Ditchfields, gave us a present. And in the card, it said, congratulations, Tim and Lisa, Psalm 16:11. And so I looked up the verse in the Bible because I didn't know what it said. And it said, God will make known the path of life. And in his presence is fullness of joy, and at his right hand are pleasures forever.
Yeah.
And here I am starting a brand new path. I'm leaving my home in Colorado. I'm a bride. I'm getting married. I'm becoming a wife. I'm becoming your daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And I was on a brand new path, and I felt it just resonated with me that God had a path for my life and that he was going to show it to me.
All right, well, what's the first step?
The first step really is knowing Christ, is having a relationship with Jesus. Because when you have a relationship with Jesus, he will guide you onto that path. And one of the things I've learned is as he guides you onto that path, he will take you places and he wants you to succeed. And so it's a wonderful relationship where I am dependent on him to lead me and to guide me. And he has been so faithful to take me.
Well, what paths has he laid out for you?
The path of life is the main.
What else?
I would say, well, I talk about in the book, one of the paths is a difficult path. And there's a verse in the Bible that talks about, it's in Psalm, that talks about how there's a difficult path that flows with abundance.
All right.
And I think sometimes we go through hardships and difficulties in our life. And for me, it was the death of my sister. But what the wonderful part of it, and it's all outlined in the book, is that through the death of my sister, my mother became a Christian, and our family became Christians, and God just unfolded for us that there was just this life, even though we had a great loss that we were grieving.
You've talked about the important thing about asking, seeking, and knocking.
I love that, and I think that's that's one of the important parts of it, is you have to have that relationship where daily you can ask the Lord. And I think it's very simple. I mean, I will say, show me. I think there's a verse in Chronicles that says, I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. And I translate this as help. And I think you can ask him I would ask him for wisdom as I would raise my children. And then I would continue to seek him by reading the Bible and by getting that kind of fortification from the promises of his word to raise my family, and then to continue to knock. But one of the things I learned when I wrote the book is that it says ask, and ask, seek, knock. But those three words, start with A-S-K, and it spells the word ask. And I felt like God was saying to me again, I want you to ask me. Please ask.
Well, let me ask you, you're the mother of 5, you're the grandmother of 10, and you look like you're a college girl. What is the secret? I know there are women here. How does this woman stay so young and beautiful?
I just did hair and makeup with you.
Is that what it is? That's what it is. It's my makeup department that does it. No way.
Again, I think a lot of it is, one of the things I talk about in the book is that, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I think the joy of walking on the path with the Lord, strengthens me and gives me hope. And I would say the word that I keep hearing in my heart right now is to trust me.
Trust me.
Yeah, and that's it. Over and over again, I feel like the Lord is not saying, can you trust me? He's saying, will you trust me? And he's really asking me to make, in a hard time, to make that choice and make that decision. Yes, I trust the Lord. I will trust him.
Well, I might also add, you've got a very beautiful daughter, and she is one of our reporters, and she's doing a terrific job. Abigail.
Abigail. We finished strong. That was our last baby.
Was that the last one? She's a baby?
That was our last one. And
she's a sweetheart. They're the daughters. There they are. It's a great family.
And there's Abigail, the bride.
Yeah. Wasn't that a wonderful wedding? I mean, it was fantastic.
That was a wonderful wedding.
Yeah.
That was, and I think that's the other thing, is that we prayed for all of our children. And we have, I think one of the things your son did, Tim, was so adamant that we attend church every single Sunday. And I was raised in the Episcopal Church, and so I was a lot more casual about church attendance. And he was raised Baptist, and he was not missing church. Well, and I would say our children were in church every single Sunday, and I think that they are all walking with Christ, and there's been a real fruit to that. And so I thank you for that.
Well, I accept. The Path of Life, folks, is the name of it. Where are these? Anywhere books are sold? How do you get them?
Anywhere books are sold. It's on ChristianBooks.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
All right.
Are you impressed?
I'm totally impressed. You've done a good job. Lisa's going to be our featured speaker at noon today at Regent University Chapel. And you can, we stream that live at noon, so you're a sweetheart. God bless you.
Thank you. And I thank the Lord for you and for your family, because wonderful. You're one of the best parts of our half. Your family, all of you.
Well, I've been blessed beyond measure. Hey, that's great. Lisa Robertson, my designer daughter-in-law, the beautiful lady.